And a happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. Hope it's a fun start today. It is cold, but that's okay. It's late November. It's supposed to be, so that's all good. According to my car's thermometer, though, it's minus 22.
Oh, well, I mean, if you would come to the station once in a while and stop living in Nome, Alaska, it'd be a little bit better. But doing that. By the way, Joe Rexrode and I share headphones when I come in. He's got the smallest head. He has the head from the movie Beetlejuice when he's sitting there in the waiting room.
He's also deaf.
He's got the smallest, Joe, you've got the smallest, cutest head I've ever seen. And so when I put the headphones on, I have to just, kind of rip them all the way down that go over my big, giant head. So it's like the perfect rom-com.
Yeah,
Joe and Joe.
Joe and Joe is it's quite the show.
So beat it, Robbie. Get out of here. You can do the show with Chase. It's Joe and Joe, man.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
We had something here.
I got something with the rom-com there.
Okay. All right. Well,
what's up, man? Good see you last night at the bowling alley for George Plaster. Hold on a second. I'm going to boil a turkey here.
Yeah, George's celebrity bowling tournament. Good seeing you there, and Willie was there.
Packed.
It was packed. Coach Kevin Stallings was there. Has no interest in coming back to coaching. I asked him.
But when I look at him, I'm looking at the buyout he got from Pittsburgh. I'm like, he can go to
I'm going to say this.
Fort Myers and buy the biggest house. Good for him.
I was debating if I was going to, just come off the top rope to start. But, with looking at things, and I like Jerry Stackhouse. I do. But, everybody that used to hate on Kevin Stallings, just saying.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't bad.
How's Stackhouse doing over there
Wasn't
right
bad.
now? Things are good.
Now, there's a lot that's different in college sports that
True.
Both Clark Lee and he's really having to deal with it right now, and Jerry Stackhouse. But I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but good to see Coach
right.
Stallings last night.
You're right. It was a good time. And then, of course, yesterday after we left the show, the news that Rick Stockstill was let go at MTSU, and it wasn't unexpected, and we're going to say our feelings here about
Sure.
Coach Stockstill. I mean, I love the man. He's been nothing but great, gracious, genuine, great to me. And my son, we've been around him. He's been fantastic. I will miss him. And I understand it's time. I understand things happen. There's changes. Does not hide the fact that I love that man and what he did for the university and what he did for players. And it's telling, somebody tweeted this yesterday, it's telling how much you're beloved and how many players come back. And there's so many players come back during the season, off season, come back to see him. That shows you the impact that he had on these young men.
He is he's a good coach. He's a better man.
Yep.
I will never forget. Now, what's funny is, he was there 18 years. He and I came in at the same time, so that means 18 years ago I started college. But
well, I mean, way to make it about yourself, right, Dr. Crane?
Sorry, but
No
he was
comment.
always whatever. He was always really good to me.
Yeah.
And there was one moment in particular when I was still in school, and obviously was wanting to get into this business, and I was doing. It was a project for a class that I interviewed him, and my condo got broken into, and my camera got stolen, had the tape in it and everything.
Oh,
I'd
that's
done
right,
the interview. And so I called Mark Owens and said, hey, this is what happened, and he was like, we'll see what we can do. Coach is getting ready for the game, but I'll let him know. Well, I get a call an hour later from Rick Stockstill personally, and he said, come by my office, we'll do it again.
Nice. He didn't have to do that.
No.
How many coaches gonna do
And
that?
this was like a Friday afternoon,
Right?
And you know how Friday afternoons are for a coach when they play the next day.
Yeah. How many coaches are going to do that? Probably very, very, very little.
And he was always just, very, very great and gracious with his time, and obviously having him on the station and stuff was fantastic. So, look, like you said, I think timing is everything, and it probably was.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to look at it now. It's a new beginning for the program, and it's a new beginning for him. Whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Whether that's stay in the area and be done with coaching, or look into coaching again.
All right. Well,
Options
here's
are
what
there.
I do now. We've talked about this last night. If I'm MTSU, this is me. I
was wondering if you're gonna say it.
I
but
should.
think you should.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, Stockstill's gone now, and again, we love him. But if I'm MTSU, I make one football call, one phone call right now. I call Eddie George. I told you last night. I call Eddie
27.
George. Yeah, I call Eddie George, and I said, do you want to come down here and lead this program? I would. Eddie has done a heck of a job at TSU with what he has over there. He's got some great assistant coaches. He can raise money. He knows people. Then come in there. I mean, a head coach now in football is more than a head coach. I mean, you are PR, you are fundraising, you are everything else that goes along with it. And I think Eddie George will be a fantastic hire for Middle Tennessee State. I know there's other people mentioned, but you go to a room, Chase, right? There's a room, 100 people. Manny Diaz walks in.
Yeah.
You moving the needle?
No.
Buster Faulkner?
Nope.
Willie Simmons?
Nope.
Nah, nobody. Eddie George?
Yep.
Every single person in that room turns around and sees him. You go to a house, Mom, Eddie George is here. Kids want to play for him. Kids
Right.
want to see him. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Sure. And look, there are some good football coaches out there, and I think Eddie is becoming a good football coach. I mean, he's surrounded himself with the right people. But when you're a program like MTSU in today's landscape of college football, you need to have the sales aspect too.
Absolutely, you do.
And so it's got to be more than just a good football coach. Like, you know, Darren was there last night, and he threw out Dana Holgerson. I don't think that's a horrible idea.
Not in a million years.
If he wants to go that route,
Not in a
but
million
I don't
years.
think that would happen.
Nope.
You know, like, but I don't think that's a bad idea. But they could, because Western Kentucky has done the, you know, I call it the reclamation project route. You know, Bobby Petrino was there for a year, but they've also done the up and comer.
Yep.
You know, that they've realized what they are. And they capitalize on that, and it's led to success with the program. So Middle could go that route, but I think Eddie, I'm with you. I think Eddie knows the area, still beloved in this area, and with what Middle's trying to do, building new facilities and
Right.
trying to elevate their whole footprint. I think Eddie could be
And the
perfect
PR
man for
hit
the
would be
job.
fantastic. The PR hit would be wonderful. You're not going to get that publicity by hiring Dana Holgerson. That's Darren. Come on, you're better than that. But nobody else.
I
to
don't
me,
I don't think it's a bad.
I think it's a terrible
idea.
hire. I mean, terrible. I think if you look at Dana Holgerson, does nothing for that program. I'm telling you, man, you've got to look beyond the football field for this, and you got to go beyond this, and you got to go with somebody who's going to turn heads and get people on board. And I think Eddie George would do that. And
Sure.
Look, and I have nothing to basis at zero. Nobody's told me anything. I know nothing at all. I'm just telling you from the standpoint of outside looking in, I hire him. At least make him tell me no.
Do you believe that he could possibly help out with the, audience attendance for the games?
100%.
Because,
Yeah.
like, if you look at it, we had Mike Organ on the show a few weeks back talking about how none of the fans for TSU wanted to stay for homecoming night. They went for all the festivities,
Yeah.
and they left for the game.
Well,
do you think
and-
that could be an issue with MTSU potentially?
Well, I don't think it's going to put 30,000 people in Floyd Stadium, but I think it would put some energy in there with the fan base to get people going. I think the first year it would help, and they got a whole new facility they got to pay for. And I think having him there, and every time Eddie George, the national people would see Eddie George. He'd be on all the big shows. It's just to me, it's easy.
Here's to Nick's point. Here's the problem, because I went there. Here's the problem that is nobody's fault necessarily. It's definitely not athletics' fault, and it's something that unfortunately you're probably just not going to be able to fix. MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, has the largest student population in the state of Tennessee, but probably 3,000 live on campus or around campus. It's a suitcase school. I mean, that's just what it is. You're close to Nashville. Like, I came home on weekends quite a bit, or I'd go to Knoxville because a lot of my friends were in Knoxville, whatever. That's just the unfortunate part of where it is. It's geographically in the center of Tennessee. It is literally in the geographical center of the state of Tennessee, and so a lot of kids just don't stay on the weekends, and they go home or they go elsewhere. And I don't really know how you solve that problem.
It's been a problem for such a long time.
I mean, that's how it's always kind of been.
But I will tell you this, in covering, traveling with the team, go to Liberty on a Tuesday night, half stadium full. Go to Western Kentucky on a Thursday night, nothing else going on. Stadium's a quarter full. I mean, the group of 5 schools are having a battle now to get people to go, and I think that's kind of understood. So if you can get a little bump of attendance and some donations and people following your program, I think that's worth more than gold right now to these schools.
Yeah. So I don't know. We wish Rick Stockstill the best. and I'll say this, whenever, if ever he wants to talk, he knows he has a spot with us here on this show. And so, but his family, they're awesome. And so wish him nothing but the best and what's next. But,
Amen.
We'll see what's next for MTSU. Big show today. Hal Gill going to join us at the bottom of the hour for a weekly conversation with him. We'll talk some Predators. Coach Philip Fulmer going to join us alongside Chuck McDowell to talk about the Jason Foundation.
Amen.
I'm sure we'll get into a little football with Coach as well. And then Zach Pillar will be in studio at the bottom of the 10 o'clock hour, as he usually is on Tuesday. Greg Bedard, that had the article on Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, was on with Jared Stillman yesterday and Stillman and Company. We'll give our thoughts to some of the things he had to say, because I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't all that impressed. We'll do that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Predators in action tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pete Weber's 2,000th game as a Nashville Predator. How about that?
That's amazing.
You can hit us up on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Chasing Big Joe, presented by Regal Realty Group. So we talked about it yesterday. Greg Bedard, who wrote the article about the Patriots and Vrabel, and that stuff just won't go away. And there were other things in there that he kind of referenced, that the Rand Carthon-Mike Vrabel relationship is rocky, and that there's been questions of Carthon's job performance back to when he was in San Francisco. So Jared, obviously, is going to ask about those things and had him on the show yesterday. This was when Jared brought up if it was well known that the relationship with Vrabel and Carthon had gone stale.
How well known is it? Is it one person? I'm not going to ask you for your sources or anything like that, but is it one person that you heard about the Vrabel Carthon thing, or is it almost pretty well known up there after his trip to Foxborough that this relationship with the coach and the GM isn't going very well?
Well, I don't know if it was as it came as a result of any conversations that happened in Foxborough when he was here. I don't know that. I will say that, I probably, one of my questions about Vrabel is, and the biggest thing when you're talking about, and I've been covering the league for 20 years, the biggest thing is what's the relationship like between the GM and the head coach, especially when they don't have a background together, or at least, outwardly they don't. And I was told they had, no background. Those kind of shotgun marriages in my experience covering the league just do not work. They hardly ever work. Like, you really need to either pick a strong head coach who hand selects his GM, or you need a strong GM who is in charge of hiring the coach. And, I probably heard from, 3 or 4 different people when I asked about Vrabel about, like, well, what's the relationship like with Vrabel and Rand? And they, universally said, like, there isn't, much of a relationship. There wasn't much of a background. I'm sure the stress of the season hasn't helped. Now, I don't know if it's a bad relationship at this point, but those kind of shotgun marriages and where things are going with this team, sort of gets people to the head coach and the general manager sort of start to retreat to their own camps. And that's when they start thinking about other possibilities.
So that was Greg Bedard yesterday. And I listened to the whole interview, and good on Jared for getting him on. And I do feel like that there was some backpedaling on some things that was in the article.
You think?
Teron had a great tweet. I got to pull Teron's tweet up, but he had a great tweet yesterday that was fantastic. But I don't know. I just, if you're gonna write something, you got to support it. Like, if you're gonna do an interview about something that you've written, you got to stand by it. And it just felt like, well, no, what I meant was. That's just kind of how it came out.
The first 10 seconds were,
right. And that every time I hear that, I'm like, uh-oh.
Because your brain's searching for something to say, and that's
Right.
exactly what it is.
Right. And so, do I think that there's some smoke with some of the stuff that was in that article? Absolutely, I do. You don't just make that up. Carissa Thompson does, but, not
Zing
not
ding.
him. Sorry, had to. But I just feel like that it's, you gotta stand by what you're gonna write, and I'm just curious to see where this goes, because like we talked about yesterday, you can't tell me it's not a distraction. Now, they won, and that helps, and they needed that. They beat a bad team. They're
Right.
a bad team. They got a chance this weekend being at home again against Indianapolis and getting a division win. That'll give your team a ton of confidence. But when I watch Mike Vrabel and I listen to Mike Vrabel and I listened to his press conference yesterday, he sounds miserable. And I that's a guy that hates losing. We've talked about that and how you want guys that hate losing. He's one of those.
Right.
But I want to know, like, behind closed doors, how much of a distraction this has all become.
Okay, so I read the article. I didn't listen to the interview. I was busy, but I listened to it right then, and I just saw the reaction to it from yesterday on Twitter with all that, and it's just, I mean, where's the accountability? I mean, does he just account to it to himself? I mean, is this one of those, like, mindless pieces where you just throw it out there and hope something sticks? I don't.
Here was Teron's tweet yesterday.
Okay.
I haven't seen a backpedal like that since Dion was locking wide receivers down consistently. Heck, Sevy and Glover couldn't dance around something better than that.
Oh, that's a good one. Nice references on that, Teron. I get it. Yeah, I just look. We know there's some sort of rumbling going on over there from everything that we've heard and talked about, but I don't. It's just. I just throwing stuff out there. I don't know. It's just, and if the Patriots still pressing this narrative, let them do it. And then if I'm the Titans, all right, you want to go, Mike, go. But here's what we want back from you. And I told you, Kraft, egotistical little man's going to want his way. And so you just go and take all you can from him. That's it.
Right.
I've always said, if you don't want to be here, I'm not going to keep you here. Right? If you don't want to be here, why should I try to keep it? Go. That's always like the non-competes in TV. Like, you don't want to be here, want to go someplace, then go. If you're not going to give me your all, then go. I don't want it.
Like, here's my thing. Like, if you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. Like, I want people that want to be here.
Right, exactly.
That's my thing. Like, if you're miserable and like, I'm sorry, I wish I could fix that, and if I can't, then you got to go. You got to do what's best for you. I've told people that. Like, hey, I will always root for you and want you to do what's best for you, and if this isn't best for you, then I understand. Because I need people that are all in. That's where I'm at with stuff. And so that's why, I brought up yesterday, at the end of the season, one-on-one, Amy Adams-Strunk needs to look Mike Vrabel in the eye and go, do you want to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah.
And he needs to answer that honestly. If the answer is yes.
Do you think he'll answer no right now? Then you're like, okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
If I'm Amy Adams, like, look, try to win as many games you can. Let's table all this. We'll talk at the end of the year. All right? Your focus is on winning football games. I'm going to stay away from you. Let's see what we can do. You do that in January after that, the Monday after, whenever our season ends, let's talk.
Right.
Until then, just say no comment. I'm worried about winning football games.
Yeah, just focus on the football team.
And then put it on, and then on that Monday, you come and you say, hey, we're going to do this, going to do that, and then you make your decision. It's going to have to come fast. Now that the season ends so far now into January instead of late December, another week or two that's pushed back, time is of the essence. Like college football with the portal happening. I mean, you got to get college coaches in there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you do. And I think he's going to have to make coaching changes on his staff. I'd look at both sides of the ball. I think Tim Kelly's fine. I think that some of the vitriol towards Tim Kelly is probably not warranted. I mean, there's no offensive line.
Right.
Now, I agree that like if Mike Munchak wanted to come back and run the offensive line, I'd do that in a heartbeat. I mean, there's no question. And that might be the only time that I'd be okay with Amy Adams-Strunk meddling and saying, like, no, you have to do this. Like,
tell me why Mike comes back.
Well, I mean, from his standpoint, I probably wouldn't want to fool with it. But,
right. Yeah.
But I mean, from my standpoint, as somebody wanting somebody that knows what they're doing, I'd love to have him back.
Well, I mean, so if I'm Vrabel, I mean, like our focus is the Colts. We have to win at home on Sunday.
And that's pretty much been what he has said.
Yeah, and I don't disagree 100% with that. You go out and win on Sunday. Now you're 5-7, and who knows what could happen? I mean, we've seen crazier things happen.
Can you explain though?
I cannot.
Why? Can you explain the meaning of life?
Give me 4 hours.
Can you explain why they have played as well as they have at Nissan Stadium? And here's why. And I'm just going to say it. I'm not even going to preface this. I'm just going to say it. Let's just be honest. The energy there is not what it used to be, and especially on Sunday.
Right.
Like I told you, 5 people offered me tickets, and I said I'm good. Like, I'm not the only one in the city of Nashville that probably had that response.
What's the old joke? Somebody broke in your car and left you 4 Carolina Panthers tickets?
Right.
All right, here's why they've won. All right? Who did they beat first game? Chargers.
Awful.
No. Yeah. Chargers first
over?
game. Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible team.
Yep.
Bengals with a Burrow who was at 4%.
Yep.
Bad. Falcons.
Bad team.
Bad team. Panthers.
Bad team.
Is there one more out there? No, that's it. It's 4.
That's it. Yeah.
So, but that's the deal. You beat the bad teams at home, and they've done that. They just haven't done well. Have they lost 7 road games?
Well, the Ravens game technically is a home game,
That we ain't counting that.
but yeah. So,
yeah, we ain't counting that one. They can do whatever they want.
yeah,
to.
but
All
no,
right,
they
so-
haven't won on the road in over a year.
Okay.
The last time they won on the road was Green Bay,
Wow, that Thursday
the
night
plane
game?
game. Yeah, the plane game.
Wow. Is that the Downing coming
Yeah.
back? Okay. I'm
I
trying to
call it
get
the
your
plane.
inside jokes, man.
It's not an inside joke. It's just
Playing
it's
game.
the plane game.
I'm trying to get all that. No, but they've beaten really bad football teams at home, and so now you got the Colts come in, who pretty decent football team. They're playing well, and then one game at a time. Then you go to Miami, and then it gets after this week gets really tough down the stretch. But it's the NFL. It's not nothing's guaranteed week in and week out. Just go out and play the best you can and try to win games. But this Greg Bedard thing, I guess we can put it to rest. I mean, they're a little smoke, a little fire. I mean.
Your Matthew McConaughey's coming out right now.
What is it right
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, you got to play as best you can. Go Longhorns.
Hook 'em.
And do all that, and you got to go back, do what you can do. But no, they where am I going with this? Oh, this Bedard thing. But look, throughout history, GMs and head coaches have had a tumultuous relationship. I mean, it's been hot and cold throughout. So there's no sense that Rand and Vrabel aren't that. It's just weird seeing Rand Carthon's body language on the sideline. It's just, I don't know. Robinson paraded around like he was the king of England. Remember, in his suits and all that other stuff. And Rand's, maybe it's Rand. It's nothing wrong. That's your personality. You're off to the side, and you know what you do, and you know what you're as the GM. You kind of got your own path you're clearing. I get all that. So, I don't know. Is it much about nothing? Or is there a whole lot there? We'll find out sooner or later.
We will find out for sure. One team that's playing very well is the Nashville Predators. They're back in action tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and there was some interesting news around the NHL yesterday involving a former Predators head coach. Hal Gill, Predators analyst, going to join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on that, plus much more. And don't miss tomorrow night, Smashville Live, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs at 6 o'clock. You can see Predator star players up close and personal, get autographs and pictures. And this week's special guest will be defenseman Tyson Barrie and Ryan O'Reilly. Smashville Live brought to you by the Black Abbey Brewing Company here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. It's time now to talk to Hal Gill. He's brought to you by Dunkin'. And Robbie and Rexroad going to be at a new Dunkin' this week. It will be in Franklin at 1441 New Highway 96 West. So come by 6 to 9, stop by, and have a chance to win lots of great prizes. But we always got to get our dunks with Hal. Skillsy, good morning. What's up?
Good morning. Got my dunks on the way into the rink, getting ready for the Penguins tonight.
Going to be a good one, but I want to start with the news that came out yesterday. John Hines named the new head coach of the Minnesota Wild, and ironically, they'll be in Smashville on Thursday, so it'll be Hines' homecoming first game in Nashville since he left the Predators. But what did you think of that move?
Yeah, well, Minnesota, I was looking at the schedule ahead, and I blipped over Minnesota. I'm like, whoa, they're supposed to be good, and I was expecting them to be good, and they're just not. So if you're not getting the results, we're talking about the 20-game mark here with the Preds, and where do they stand and what do they look like? Well, Minnesota didn't look good, and defensively they haven't been good. So time for a change, and a good opportunity for John Hines. I know, as soon as I think he was right up there with Laviolette for that Rangers job. It was looking like he was doing something with San Jose. Maybe.
Uh-oh. I think we lost. There he is.
Sorry, we all knew he was going to get back in the ring. Just a matter of time. And so it looks like Bill Guerin has his guy, and we'll see how this goes. And it's exciting that we're going to get a good look at him nice and early.
We got a little bit of a bad connection there, Hal. We'll see if it
are you going over a bunch of speed bumps?
Am I
You're better.
What? Am I better now?
You are.
I'm really sorry. Sometimes, Chase, when you have relationships, you just get disconnected for a little bit, but you got to come back and you got to work at it and find a way to come back together. And I feel like we've done that. I feel like we're better for it.
We are better for it. That is for sure. Hal Gill is with us, Predators in action tonight. Now, we've talked about Philip Forsberg and how he's pretty much that catalyst for this team. He's on fire right now, 25 points, 11 goals. Ryan O'Reilly's right there with him. What have you seen out of that line? And I love the Gus Nyquist on that line too. It just seems like that chemistry is really there.
Yeah, you think? Oh, boy, they're buzzing. Yeah, you know what? It was interesting to me because I felt like, there was tandems that Brunette was looking at, and he was trying to make things work. And, and O'Reilly and Forsberg were that tandem he wanted to have together, but he didn't know who to put with that line. Was it Parsonen? He tried some different things, different looks, and then Nyquist came up, and I said, okay, that kind of works. And then all of a sudden they just started buzzing, and they look good, and a lot of fun to watch those guys. The way Nyquist kind of digs in the corners and gets his feet moving, and starts the offensive zone going, I feel like it really plays into the hand of O'Reilly, who's typically in and around the net, and Forsberg, who's kind of flashing in and out of the slot and looking for shooting spots. And so you put those three together, and I've had a lot of fun watching them.
Hal, we talked to you last week about, the frustrations with this young hockey team and everybody coming together and meshing and the camaraderie. The last 4 or 5 games, they've come together like a completely different team. Now, what is impressing you about this hockey team now?
Well, I hate to break it down to one thing, but everything, I can give you all the reasons why, but one of them has to be Ryan McDonagh being back in the lineup. He came back, and I think that steadies things down. It puts everyone in their place on the defensive end. But the way that they played, and it kind of coincides with him coming back, they're attacking in the offensive zone. They're attacking the front of the net. They're getting a lot more net front presence. That's why Philip Forsberg has so many goals recently, is because he's all over the net. He's hounding the puck. And how many goals have we seen are tips, deflections, rebounds, knocking it out of the air, presence around the net. And then defensively, I feel like they're doing such a better job. Everyone was questioning, are the goalies the way they should be playing? Are they playing up to snuff? And you look at Lankinen and Yossi, who you think, okay, maybe they struggled early on. Well, I don't think they struggled. I think defensively they just weren't strong in front of the net, and they weren't clearing pucks, and they weren't letting our goalies see the puck. And so they've done a lot better job at that, and I know it's been a point of emphasis with the team as net front battles are huge, and I think they're winning those and turn winning games.
You know, I'm weird when I watch a sporting event. You know, you like for hockey, you watch the goal score. I always like to watch the reaction, how from the team on the bench and everybody.
Yeah.
And like they're genuinely excited for each other. And I know it's a small thing, Hal, but to me that's a big thing when guys celebrate other guys' success on and off the ice. And I'm seeing that now from this hockey team.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's nothing better. I mean, obviously scoring a goal is great, but there's nothing better than when your friends and your peers and your teammates are happy for you and show it. You know, that makes you feel better than the goal itself. And so I think, like, you look at Yakov Trenin, who had a rough start. He just, like, I thought he was playing some great hockey. He wasn't scoring goals. He scored a goal finally, and the place went nuts. Like, the bench went insane. They were fired up for him. They're happy for him. They know what he brings to the team, and now he gets rewarded. And I feel like that it feeds itself, you know, like it just keeps feeding the beast. When you're excited about your teammates scoring, you're excited about getting the job done. It feeds, and then eventually that leads to wins. And I think that's the kind of mentality that they're looking for. I think you look at the leadership and you say, hey, is the leadership driving this, and are they driving us the right way? And I think we're seeing that at the 20-game mark. We're seeing that. We're seeing those guys that are driving the game and the way they want to play and their identity and the toughness that they have to sticking up for each other. You know, like if Roman Josi gets bumped into, you got a bunch of people that are staring him down. Jeremy Lauzon is there to fight if he needs to. McCarron has done it. They're all into it. They're all playing a feisty, hard game, and they're playing together, which is a lot of fun to play like that.
Hal Gill is with us. And with UC Saros, you know, we've talked about this basically since he got into the league, that, you know, sometimes he gets off to a bit of a slow start. If you just strictly look at the numbers right now, they don't blow you away. But do you feel like he's starting to come into form?
Yeah, I thought he was awesome early on. You know, you had games against Tampa and Boston that you lose those games. They're good teams, and the power play, both power plays were good, and they scored a bunch. And you go, okay, Juice looked awesome, but they're losing games. And then, you know, it got away from them. They started losing games. They were getting out-battled by lesser teams, in my opinion, losing tough games. And I think you go, okay, Juice, and large part due to the net front, but you say Juice needs to bail you out. Well, last game, Juice was fantastic. He was a beast in that first part of that Jets game. The first 10 minutes, they were under siege, and he got them through that. And then once they got through that, you know, Roman Josi was everywhere, and then the team started to play the way they can, and they finished that game off. But that was made possible because Juice was awesome. And I do think Lanks looks really good as well. He's played some great hockey in St. Louis. He was fantastic.
You know, Hal, looking at Pittsburgh tonight and the Preds, same point, same. I mean, it's weird how eerily similar these two teams are, at least standing record-wise.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it. I don't know. Pittsburgh is a tough team. You have that big three with, of course, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. Like, those guys have been there forever. Like, I was playing with those guys. And then you go, okay, when is the bubble going to burst? And when do they have to move one of those guys? Or when is this ride over for the Penguins? When are they not going to be in the mix? And then they went out and signed Erik Karlsson, and you go, oh, whoa, okay, they're going back at it, and they're going to be good. And they had a rough start, but I think, what are they, 8-2 in their last 10 games. So things have turned around. They're a tough team. They're always tough. It amazes me that Crosby just keeps going. You know, he's not necessarily the highlight reel kid anymore. He's just so smart in and around the net. He's got great hands. He sees the ice. He plays the advantages to a T. He's just such a good player. So anytime you have him on your team, you're going to have a chance. But right now, I think they're putting it together. So a team that's going to be tough to play against, and another good test for the Preds tonight.
And tonight is also going to be a big night for somebody we all know and love. Pete Weber, game number 2,000 with the Nashville Predators. How cool is that?
That is pretty awesome. You look around and you go, whoa, that's a lot of hockey. that's a lot of morning skates. That's a lot of buses to the rink. That's a lot of flights. That's a lot of calling hockey and talking about it. And the best part about Pete is, he's been doing it for 2,000. If you ask him about game 143, he'll tell you exactly what happened. And that was the game that, so-and-so got stuck in the elevator and at the old Joe Louis. He'll give you the whole story about every one of those games. A great man, a great person, a great mentor to me. And so it'll be nice to honor him for 2,000. That is impressive.
It will be fun tonight against Pittsburgh and welcoming John Hines back on Thursday against Minnesota. Skillsy, appreciate it. It's a big week. And Peter Laviolette on Saturday against the Rangers. So, Skillsy, appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, I'm glad we worked through our issues with our connection. I feel better than I ever have with you, Chase. Love you guys.
Hey, I feel better too. Love you too, Hal. Have a good one. Hal Gill joining us, presented by Dunkin' every Tuesday at 9:30. And right now we have your opportunity to win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Predators take on Peter Laviolette and the New York Rangers at Bridgestone Arena this Saturday. It's a can't-miss event and the perfect time to celebrate with your friends, family, and your Smashville family in gold. Join in on the fun and help celebrate the 25th anniversary season and 25 years of Smashville. In honor of, I'm going to make Nick work for this. He's not going to like me, but I'm going to do it. In honor of the goal-scoring leader, caller number 9 at 615-737-1025.
I thought you were going to say caller 2,000 in honor of Pete Weber.
I should have done that.
We still get the phones for like 2 shows.
That's right. Chase, what's up next, man?
Coming up next, I'm done. What are you done with? 615-737-1025. We got some good ones. You can weigh in on the text line and call in as well. 615-737-1025. That's next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. It's time for I'm Done. What are you done with? 615-737-1025. You just got to bring the passion, as Terry Crisp would say. And I tell you what, we'll do this. And Nick, I'll explain how we'll do this. The best one will win another 4-pack of tickets to see the Predators and Rangers this Saturday at Bridgestone Arena. But you got to bring the passion. What are you done with? 615-737-1025. You can call or text.
Somebody's in a good mood today.
I am. I'm in a very good mood.
I like Santa Claus.
Am I Santa Claus?
Yeah,
Is that
you
what I
are.
am?
Today you are, yeah.
Okay.
It's better than being called Oprah Winfrey. You get a car. You get a car.
I mean, Oprah's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
Santa's cool, too. He's got
mean,
the beard and all.
I'd like to be in the same bank account as Oprah.
Wouldn't we all?
But yeah, so get those texts in. Wes in Clarksville says, I'm done with these sports teams paying these coaches and GMs millions of dollars for years after they get fired. Well, that's part of it.
Let me tell you what, it's only going to get worse. I'm telling you right now, these payouts are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as they go along. Wait till the Super Conference happens, and then you'll be like, what in the world is going on there? All right, can I give you my I'm done?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so yesterday, the news came out that Rick Stockstill was let go, and I tweeted out just what a good man. He's been so nice to me, genuine, great and everything like that. And I get back the old tweet, nobody cares, right? So I used to be that guy. I used to be the nobody cares guy. I used to be, nobody cares.
Yep.
And then I saw, you know what? How rude of that of me that
You had a GIF. You
yeah.
had the SpongeBob GIF.
Yeah. And so it became like, it's important. So if you come in one day extolling about how great soccer is, 5 years ago, I'd be like, hey, Chase, nobody cares. I don't care. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're enjoying that. So I'm kind of done with this nobody cares because, see, people care, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just done with the people who come out, nobody cares about that, and they'll say something about national traffic. Nobody cares. You should know that. Nobody cares. And so I'm done with the nobody cares, right? If you're happy and you want a little vent or whatever, I mean, that's fine. But to come back and say nobody cares, that just shows your inadequacy as a person, I think.
Yeah. No,
And I will fight you.
I like that. Well, you should. I like
But I'm
that
done
because
with
I think, and it's Twitter, it's social media because you can hide behind a keyboard and all that stuff. Like half the stuff that I read on social media, I'm like, would you actually say that to somebody's face?
No, you wouldn't do that.
No.
Not at all.
No, you would.
So I'm done. I've been done for a while with, hey man, nobody cares. And because you enjoy it, why should I steal your thunder, your excitement, your enjoyment? I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? But if I let you do that, whose fault's that? My fault. Okay? So I'm done with that.
Along the lines of social media, I am done with one thing in particular, and I see it way too much. And that is people that before they give you their opinion, they have to tell you that they're going to give you their unsolicited, true opinion and that it's informed and all this stuff. And I'm like, just say it. Like, I don't need you to set it up that this is my, there are two in there's one person in particular that did this yesterday that I love very much.
Okay.
But, and I'm not going to say their name, but it's just like, just say it. Like, you don't need to keep telling everybody that you have a strong opinion. Like, we get it.
Right.
You have a strong opinion. And no, I'm not talking about Jared. Like, we understand that you like to put your opinion out there. Just do it.
Yeah. Right.
Just do it and own it. That's what I don't need you to tell me that it's unbiased and it's educated and it's informed and all that. Just say what you want to say and then understand that people are going to agree with you and they're not going to agree with you. And the sidebar in all this, when you do want to be one of those people that has a strong opinion, and this is hard sometimes, don't get pissed off when somebody doesn't agree with you. Because they don't agree with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, just understand that they're allowed to have an opinion too.
Correct.
And it might be opposite of yours.
I like that. And to make it a little bit further on this, okay? All right. Rosalind Carter passed away, okay?
Yep.
Jimmy Carter. And, he's been in hospice for a while. And I get so tired of seeing this. Well, he was a terrible president, but thoughts and prayers with his family. All right, I don't need to know your opinion.
Right, like why do you got to throw that in?
Right, I don't need to know any of that stuff. How you feel, what's going on, I really don't need to know. But it has he was a terrible president, but he's a good man. All right, I don't need to see
What is
that.
it with him? He's the best former president we've ever had. Like
I
people
guess.
say that.
Yeah, and then not 38%. Oh, wow. You know what?
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
hey, you know what? Guy lost his wife. I mean, they were married
Sure.
for 77 years. You know, I mean, by all accounts, he's a great man. But just like, terrible president, didn't do anything, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm praying for him.
Always got to bring politics, into it,
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Just say, you know what? I'm praying for his family, and that's fine. I don't need to know that you disagree with him. I don't need to know any of that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't.
No, I don't either.
I don't care.
But, again, but see, that's
Oh, man. Full circle.
yeah. Well, on that stuff, like I think there's stuff that you're allowed to say, like, you know what, I don't care. Like yesterday, like I forgot what it was you were reading that I was like, I really don't care about any of that.
It
Like,
was Jeff Fisher in the East
Oh,
Tennessee
yeah,
State
that,
job.
yeah.
And you were very blank, like, I don't care. I'm
right.
like,
I don't like. I mean, like I love Jeff Fisher, but
Right.
you're like,
I just thought the local connection was just odd. He's going for the job. You're like, yeah, I don't care about any of that. And it's like, Daddy, I threw a no-hitter. And like, I don't care. I'm watching MASH. Get away from me right now.
give me another beer.
Beat it. Daddy's tired.
615-737-1025. But yeah, I 100% am with you on all this, and it's just like I think it goes along the lines of like, if you want to give an opinion, that's fine if it's relevant, but a lot of those same people are the ones that, oh, I'm going to give you an opinion on something that like is totally irrelevant to this conversation, but just because I want to.
Yeah, right.
It's like, you know, hey, I walked outside and I waved at somebody on the street, and it's like, yeah, but why are they on the street? You know, like, or something like that. Like they're trespassing.
1936 on Twitter on our text line says, I'm so done with my wife canceling her plans with her friends on Saturdays. I can't sweat these bets I place with her around with me glued to the TV. Is that you, Ricky? 1936. We get all that. 3699. I'm done with Mike Vrabel and his whiny press conference, his attitude, his question dodging. Quit pouting. Sim New England, Ohio State. I'm done. Get him off his pedestal from 3699.
Okay, that's a good one. Dustin in Hopkinsville. I'm done with waiting in long lines at stores for the person in front of me starts playing Russian roulette with credit cards. No, ma'am, this one didn't work. Not the other one either. 8 minutes after everything's scanned, they finally figure it out.
Hey, go down and read Josh from Donaldson. It's pretty funny. You can read it. It's okay.
I'm done with my coworker. He just won the Preds 4-pack. He's won 5 times this year while we've been riding. I just called 3 times to a dial tone. I'm done. Josh P. out.
Yeah. Let's see here. 2885.
Sorry, Josh.
I'm done with boomers, and I am one whining about the change and complications that come with Nashville. No, it's not the same place it was 20 years ago. If you don't like skedaddle, there are plenty of us who love the city and will have more room. From Allison Kirk. Thank you, Allison. Look, I'm 50-50 on that. I miss the old days. I understand progress, but also understand there's not a plan in place to stop to help out with the transit, and so it's going to get massively worse before it gets anything better.
Okay, I'm going to read this and then say something, and I hope Jared's listening right now. Dustin in Hopkinsville says, I'm done with Jared Stillman saying, I have this nugget, but I can't tell it. Ian, can I tell it? No? Okay, I'm just telling you. It's great. I hear that and it makes me laugh. Jared, if you're listening, and I've thought about like just texting him this, but I'm going to just say it. When you're referencing the other shows, say the show name. I'm done with him. He'll always call it Robbie and Joe. It's Robbie and Rex Road, or he'll call it Chase and Joe. It's Chase and Big Joe. It bugs the crap out of me. I don't know if that's the program director or if it's just I'm just weird like that. But like, call it the show name. So there you go, Jared. We love you.
Matthew Nashville, I'm done with the NFL refusal to implement a sky judge that can overrule the refs where they call roughing the passer on someone like T.J. Watt just for breathing on a quarterback. You got a lot of validity on that one, man. There's a lot that goes in with that. Let me see if I can read one more here. Wife counseling her plan. God, they're flying in left and right here. Let's see here. Doing Mike Vrabel. A lot of done with Mike Vrabel. I'm 1423. All right, I'm done with these chemtrail conspiracy theorists taking the space Coke from the Snortellians.
What?
1423. Yeah, okay. My head hurts after reading that, so thank you for that.
There you go. Coming up next, we'll tell you more about the Jason Foundation. If you're not familiar with it, it's a great cause, and we'll be joined by longtime Tennessee head football coach and athletic director Philip Fulmer and Chuck McDowell. Tell you more about that. Coming up next, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin, Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier with you on this Tuesday. And coming up next, we're going to talk more about the Jason Foundation. And, Joe, I will turn it over to you and let you do the honors here.
Yeah, this is a very important segment for us right now. Do you know that every day more than 3,000 students in grades 9 to 12 attempt suicide? In middle and high school, suicide is the second leading cause of death. It's an epidemic, and we need to get the word out. And that's why the Jason Foundation is so critical and important in these times in their mission to empower youth, educators, and parents to recognize the warning signs as soon as possible. And we have two very special guests on with us this morning. First guest is Chuck McDowell. He's the CEO of Medical House Calls. And we have former Tennessee head football coach Phillip Fulmer with us right now. Coach Fulmer, we'll start with you. Good morning. Tell us about the Jason Foundation, Coach, and why it is so important to you.
Well, thank you, Big Joe, and thanks for having me on your great station. The Jason Foundation was honestly born out of a tragedy. A good friend of mine, Clark Flatt, and his wife lost their son Jason, to suicide. And he took, rather than weeping and crying forever, which when we would naturally do, he went to work, and we started a foundation in 97. And so this is our 25th year, and it helps schools and systems and states and churches train for signs of suicide, particularly in providing education for our professionals that are educators. And there's 190,000 teachers trained per year by the Jason Foundation, all free of charge. So I've been honored to be the national spokesperson. Charlie Daniels worked with me for a number of years and before his passing, and we took a golf tournament to another level, and now Chuck McDowell has gotten involved, and he's brought a great spirit and an exciting attitude to the golf tournament and helping out our youth that are battling. Everybody knows, it's just been with COVID and everything. It's been one thing after another that's affected our youth, and they need our support.
Absolutely do. Let's now bring in Chuck McDowell. He's the CEO of Medical House Calls. Chuck, good morning to you. And Chuck, same question I have for Coach Fulmer. Why is this so important to you?
Well, Big Joe, thanks for having us on this morning. But I'm involved. I'm obviously Phillip and I both Tennesseans, born. We've been here forever, and I'm involved as Phillip is in a lot of different charities. And now when people call me when we get involved in a charity, I think of Jason Foundation, and I think of the time I need to spend with some other organization or charity, and I think of which one's more important, and the importance of stopping teen suicide. But, we're not just talking about teenagers. We're talking about 9, 10, 11-year-olds. It's sad, disturbing, and it's hard to not want to be involved, and that's simply what we're looking for, is other people like ourselves or anybody to contact us, contact me, contact Jason Foundation, but just to get involved. This is a cause that needs everybody's time and attention, and it's got ours, obviously.
Amen. JasonFoundation.com is the website. Hey, Coach Fulmer, you've been around young men and young women, for a long time in coaching everything. When you hear those stats about the numbers of these kids attempting suicide, that's disheartening and it's crushing. And is that another reason you want to get involved?
It is. And obviously you come up as a coach and you have a heart, for your own children first, that things that they go through, that you're as a parent, you're trying to, be there for them. And then you bring in young men to the University of Tennessee or any school anywhere, and all of a sudden these other pressures pop up, that might be overwhelmed by the next level of sports, or it could be, academics, it could be just girls, it could be anything that you're supposed to be there. Somebody's supposed to be there and guide them through it. And sometimes it gets so overwhelming that and I've counseled hundreds of kids or got them help over maybe family problems there on campus and can't manage through. And so, yes, it's an important cause, and Clark Flatt and his team have done a great job at the Jason Foundation. We need to stay involved and help in any way we can.
Amen. Chuck McDowell and Philip Fulmer on us with us this morning talking about the Jason Foundation. And, Chuck, what do you need from people now? I know the golf tournament is massively important to you and Coach Fulmer, but, Chuck, what else do you need from people to do?
Just to get involved. Same thing Philip and I've done is contact Jason Foundation. Tell them you want to get involved. If you know me and you want to contact me, you're welcome to contact me. Just simply, normally it's always boils down to one thing: money. You need resources. As Coach said, we last year trained 190,000 educators in America. That's not inexpensive to have people do that. So you always need money and people's time and attention. So just contact Jason Foundation, contact Clark, get in touch with me, whatever you can do. But just trying to find people that want to get involved with us to help stop this.
Coach Fulmer, as you kind of evolved as a coach and then transitioned into an AD, how much did you see the stresses of these student athletes change with the evolution of social media and now, I mean, even in the state of college sports with NIL and transfer portals and things like that? How much stress has that added that you have to change as a mentor to these young men and women?
A lot. We didn't have the social media issues that were as bad. It was just getting started when I was coaching, and I saw a lot different place when I came back to UT as the athletic director. And the mental health part of it is something that all of college athletics and the NCAA and American Football Coaches Association, they're all addressing these stresses that are on our young men right now, and they've turned it into a big business, which it is, but that personal part sometimes gets lost, I think, more now than ever, and particularly when maybe they feel like they've failed or put themselves in a bad spot, and that's where training the educators, or as we try to do as coaches, being involved in their lives and being trained in recognizing depression or getting out in front of somebody making obviously a life choice is important. And one of the big things that the Jason Foundation has done for all 48 states, 48 of 50 states, is gotten legislatures involved that teachers have to have this training and every year, and so that has made a big difference. And raising awareness and preventing is the key of being successful in a young person getting through this. Who do you talk to? What teacher? What parent? Usually if they're going to take their lives or something, they've told a peer, but the peer doesn't know what to do. So those are issues that we can do something about, and the Jason Foundation has been at the forefront of being able to do that.
I love it. We're talking to former Tennessee football coach Philip Fulmer and Chuck McDowell, the CEO of Medical House Calls. Chuck, real quick, what's the connection with you and Coach Fulmer? You go back a little ways, don't you?
Well, I didn't know this, but it's funny. Back when Philip was in college, he worked with my family building interstates, I believe, in I-40, and we met.
Summer job.
I didn't know him back then, but we met in the early '90s. At that time, I owned a burglar alarm / home security company, and my friend Sterling Marlin, we put a system in his house, and Philip was talking about every time he goes out of town, everybody knows he's out of town, so he had a few people want to take his stuff.
Wow.
And no man likes losing their stuff. So we put some cameras in a system in his house to learn his stuff, and then or to help protect his stuff. And then he invited me to go to Scotland on a golf trip. And that's where we got to be good friends. And as we say, what goes on in Scotland stayed in Scotland. But we've got to be. We've stayed in touch and stayed friends over the years. And while I was telling you, I haven't said this yet, but there's 137 children or teenagers every week commit suicide. That's actually succeed at suicide. So we don't know how many try. Obviously, a lot more than that. But to have 137 children that go to bed at night and the next night they're not with their family anymore. Again, it's something that people need to step up and help.
Well, we will do it, and we're so honored that you will be running a lot of Jason Foundation commercials across Cromwell Media, across our 5 stations, and we're honored to do this with all that. Coach Fulmer, before I let you go, you don't remember this, but you came and visited me at TMI Academy back in 1986. And
darn.
you invited me up. You guys had a stacked recruiting class in 1987. I did not get a recruiting offer. That's why you're a smart man. You didn't offer me a scholarship, so I appreciate that.
Thank you for still being a volunteer fan. And I probably missed you on it, Joe. Okay, we'll try next time.
No, you didn't do that. Coach Fulmer, Chuck McDowell, thank you guys so much. Again, jasonfoundation.com. We'll continue to get the word out. And God bless you two men for doing this and for taking this on and improving lives, guys. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Joe, appreciate you being involved too, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Coach Fulmer. All right, the jasonfoundation.com. For more information, just go there. And, Chase, you read, you hear Coach Fulmer, you hear Coach Chuck McDowell, you hear the stats. It breaks your heart, man. We've had friends this year, not necessarily teenagers, but adults that have taken their lives. That's why you and I are so impassioned about helping people, especially men over 40 and 45, to reach out, talk to people, and get help, because it is a problem. It's a serious problem right now.
Yeah, it is. And look, we're talking about it because it's not easy to talk about. And, I'm sure there are people that, feel uncomfortable and maybe, aren't listening, and you need to.
Yeah.
And that's why we talk about it. Sometimes the uncomfortable things are the ones that you need to talk about the most. And, we want to help people. And so that's exactly what we're doing.
100%. And the Jason Foundation helping the youth. I mean, I've got a son that's 17 years old, and it terrifies me, but I shower him with love and concern and care, and his friends the same way. And, and I put this out, and, we'll do the commercials, but, and I said, and I tell people, look, alone, it's tough, right? Mm-hmm. Alone, it's tough, but together we can be unstoppable. I mean, together we can be unstoppable, and that's the message I want to get out each and every time that we do this show.
Yep, and that's why we do it. That's why we end the show the way we do, because we want to help as much as we can. Yep. So appreciate Coach Fulmer and Chuck joining us on the show. Good to hear from Coach Fulmer. Glad he's doing well.
Yes.
So we will do more of that for sure. It's Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Appreciate Coach Philip Fulmer and Chuck McDowell for joining us. We'll have Zach Pillar in studio with us in about 10 minutes. Program.
There are times we'll talk football with Coach Fulmer down the road, but today it was important to get the message out about the Jason Foundation. And
sure.
We'll do that going forward. I see the Carolina owner had some long, extensive press conference today about, firing the coach and what to do going forward. I mean, it could be worse, right? I mean, that owner is a bonehead.
Yeah, it's funny. I just think about some of the owners in the league right now, and that's like the problem. Like if I was a billionaire and I owned an NFL team, you know what I would do? I would hire the right people. I would hire football people. I would hire a business person to run both aspects of that. And then I would sit in my suite and I would drink beer and I would watch football. That's what I would do because I'm not qualified to run a football team. I talk about, football teams and I give my opinion on football teams, but I'm not qualified to run a football team.
Right.
So just like Dave Tepper is not qualified to run a football team, just own it.
Jeff Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, I think from what I gathered, he does a pretty good job of
I have him probably top 5 owners in the league.
Who's number 1?
The Rooneys. I think the Rooneys are
pretty good. I mean, they've had 3 head coaches in 15 years.
Right. I mean, they don't when they fired Matt Canada, that was like a huge deal.
First in-season move since 1941.
Yeah.
What's going on in 41? There was a war war that's happening.
Right.
Rooney's good. Can we name all the? I mean, can we go down the line? I'm like, who owns the Jets are owned by is it Woody Johnson?
Yeah. Is it just Woody Johnson, or is that where the Maras own half of the Giants?
Correct.
And then I forget the other half.
This would be all day. I mean, Hallis is still on the Bears.
Yeah. They're not awful.
No.
They've been solid.
Spanos family, the Chargers, they don't know what they're doing.
No.
The Bidwells in Arizona don't know what they're doing.
No.
McNair and them finally got a clue by hiring a good coach and letting the coach and the GM and getting that idiot Bill O'Brien out of there.
Arthur Blank's a good owner.
He is. He'd be fun to work with and hang out with. Yeah.
I think Arthur Blank's Steve Bisciotti, in Baltimore. Derek has talked glowingly about Steve Bisciotti and he said,
Bisciotti.
He's he knew us. That was the joke with Bud. Bud didn't know anybody, but Bisciotti knew everybody, but he stayed out of the way. You saw him 3 times a year.
I was reading a book one time on Joe Montana, a big Joe Montana fan, and about DeBartolo, and DeBartolo owns the 49ers. He had, and I remember this correctly, 3 people whose job in the organization was to send your family flowers on your birthday. So if your mom had a birthday and you played for her, she got flowers. Yeah. And he said that went so far in just, loving the owner, loving the franchise, loving the team, loving everything else. And the simple thing, flowers for your mom or sending your wife flowers, whatever. Sending your dad a set of golf, something on their birthday to make them feel important and wanted and loved. And I think a lot of that's lost these days.
It's crazy looking at the price that a lot of these people paid for their franchise. So Michael Bidwell, owner of the Cardinals, they paid $50,000 in 1932. The Bidwell family did.
Was it the Chicago Cardinals?
Yeah.
50
grand.
What did Bud pay? $1 million in 1960. Is it the Losers Club? What are they all called?
Yeah, $25,000 in 1959.
Are you serious?
Nope. Or yep. I'm serious. That's what it says on Wikipedia.
No idea.
And think about this. Let's just put this in comparison. Bud Adams paid $25,000 in 1959 to start the Oilers.
Okay.
Josh Harris, who just bought the Washington Commanders,
oh God,
paid $6 billion. $6 billion.
That's I wouldn't want to own a pro. I just wouldn't do it. All the headaches and everything.
I've always said if I won the lottery, people are like, "What would you do?" And I'd travel and everything, but for investment purposes, I would go buy a minor league baseball team.
Yeah,
like a AA or a AAA baseball
Pensacola
team. Somewhere down there. I mean, maybe I'd call Frank Ward and say, "Hey, you want to partner up?" But with the Sounds. But I would own because I think that's a good investment. Especially in a what is that noise? especially
You're backing it up, man.
in a
Every time you back up in your
I
chair, it
guess.
makes that noise.
especially in like a town that doesn't have major sports.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing to do. You know, they're like somebody we both know, Jeremy Benefield. He lives in Rome, Georgia now.
Mm-hmm.
Just a mile down from the Rome. Now they're something else now, but they were the Braves stadium, which is a single A team. He says it's packed during the summer.
That's great, but I want to go to the beach. I got to live on a beach, man. I got to
that's
live
fine.
somewhere. So Pensacola, we'll do that. We'll let you and I buy the Pensacola franchise
Okay,
and just live down there, and we're good to go.
I'm down.
Is there, Jacksonville's got the jumbo shrimp. Anything down there with the beach and palm trees, I would buy that. But
So
I'm not buying a team.
the Rooney family in 1932 when they started the Steelers, 2,500.
But back then football wasn't.
But we've beaten it. The Giants, John Mara and Steve Tisch, 1925, $500.
But who'd they pay it to?
I don't know.
A
Like
couple guys on the street corner. Hey, we're going to start a team. But remember this: in the 20s, 30s, 40s, football was an afterthought, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was baseball. You know the other two things? Because I've read extensively on this. The other two things which had America's attention, baseball was one. There were three things. Baseball was third. You know what 1 and 2 were? Guess.
In when?
In the 30s and 40s up to like the mid-50s. Do you know, Dr. Crane, you want to weigh in on this? There were three sporting things which had America's eye. Baseball was one, but baseball was third. What were the other two?
Polo?
No.
And what
Golf?
What age was
Nope.
this?
Talking 30s, 40s, because I remember talking to my grandpa about this. I've read up on it, and
I have no idea.
football was a distant fourth. Basketball was not even a thought back
Track.
then. No. Kinda.
Track and field?
Four-legged track.
Oh, horse racing.
Horse racing
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
massive.
Horse racing.
But what was number one back then that got people's attention more than anything else?
Is it an Olympic sport?
It is an Olympic sport.
I'm just going to go out there. It's probably going to be wrong. I would say soccer.
Soccer's not it.
No, what was it?
Boxing.
Yeah, I should have.
Boxing was massive. Horse racing was massive. Baseball was up there. And then in the 50s, they had the game in Pete Weber probably has the history of this too as well. It was the Giants and Colts overtime playoff game in the mid-50s with, I think Johnny Unitas was in that.
Easy.
And it kind of got America's attention, and football never looked back after that.
Do you consider Jerry Jones in the top 5 owners?
I do.
Yeah.
Because he with 1989, he bought that team. He made people look at like, all right, what's going on here? And the values from there went straight up.
I think if he doesn't come in, and that's why like he should be in the Hall. He is in the Hall of Fame now, finally. But that you don't get the TV deals. Like
Correct.
if he doesn't come in and make and bring the Cowboys back to being America's team and throw all those resources and force everybody else to do that too, you're not making these billion-dollar deals with Fox and NBC and CBS and ESPN.
I think single-handedly he put Fox on the map because in Texas, you know, like if you're in El Paso or Lubbock or whatever, you had to have a Fox affiliate because Cowboys played on Fox.
Yep.
And it took off and took over, and they're still the most popular football. You put the Cowboys on Sunday and Monday night, the better
Everybody
ratings.
will watch.
Everybody watch. You're right.
Whether you want to say it or not, they're still America's team.
You're correct.
They just are. We'll talk to Zach Pillar, get his thoughts on things with the Titans and much more coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing McKay, Big Joe Dubin with you on this Tuesday. Right now we're joined by our man Zach Pillar. He joins us every Tuesday in studio at 10:30. Titans legendary offensive lineman, and follow him on Instagram, Zach Pillar Design 69. You can step into his world. So he's at 218 followers. What's our goal this week? 230?
250.
250?
Man.
Can we get Zach's mic on
There
there?
was a guy that said,
There we go.
I'm gonna send it off to 250,000 people.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? What happened there, dude?
We gotta
Where are
make
you
it
at,
happen.
bro?
You had 137 2 weeks ago, and now
Yeah.
you're up. I mean,
218. So let's get him to
I've
250.
hired someone. I just want to give a shout out to the White Tiger. He's on the staff now.
Okay. So he's like your social media guy.
He's my social media guy.
I-
I'm a radio guy. I mean, I need to get music behind my commercial that I just heard on the way in here, and I want to give a shout out to Coach Fulmer. And was it Chuck McDowell?
Yes.
Incredible what they're doing, and it's all about communication, right?
Yep. 100%.
So
It is.
I'm not gonna
Let
say
me
too
ask
much
you,
about
all right, you want to bring up what he saw last night?
Yeah, you were at Monday Night Raw last night, right?
I was. I left a legacy. That's what I wanted to talk about. I mean, how pathetic am I? I carried my family to Bridgestone Arena. I bought super expensive tickets because I never go anywhere. And I got on the 4th or 5th row, and I stood up the whole time. And then I went home and watched myself on USA Network.
So you just showed us the picture.
It's
And this
sad.
needs to go
That's
on your
what I do.
Instagram. This needs
But
to go on
that's
your-
what I do. I mean, unfortunately, like, I guess I played in the NFL for a minute, and then, my wife has those bars. But since I was like a young kid, I've wanted to leave a legacy, and it doesn't mean money. It just means, like, it's always bothered me that I'm running out of time.
Why did you call last night stupid?
Gosh, because my wife kept yelling at me to sit down.
But it's family time, man. You guys are together.
It was selfish. It was me. No, I'm just kidding. My dad used to take me to the gymnasiums in, Tampa, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So going to that was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun, and my son had a lot of fun. But he bailed. Listen, at 9 o'clock, he said it's bedtime, and he put spa sounds on his iPad and fell asleep in the back of the car. I'm not kidding you.
You're raising a good little man right there.
He's the sweetest little angel.
He
We have a
is.
little angel.
What did you do on Sundays after like a big battle like the Titans had with the Panthers? What would you do on Sunday night? Would you go home? Would you relax?
Depend on if I was single or not. Honestly, we used to go to Eddie George's Sports Grill
Oh, okay, right.
right there, and I walked through it yesterday. It's an Italian restaurant, right?
It is.
So we used to go to there, and then another shout out to Kevin Long. Anybody remember Silverados?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody remember Outer Limits?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
By the zoo?
Yeah.
That's the only thing you could do in Nashville. That's what we would do if we could do it.
Go out and have a good. Let me ask
I
you
mean,
this.
it wasn't really. I got fined my rookie year. You'll laugh at this. I lived off of 440 West End, Green Hills, Sharondale, I think, and everybody was at Sam's at Hillsborough Village after a win, and they kept calling me to come down, and I knew they were calling me to give me the bill. So I was a third-round pick, league minimum. I made $175, but Fisher fined me for most of it. I went down there because Kevin Long got on the phone and said, if you don't get down here in 5 minutes, I'm going to fine you $1,000. And so as soon as I got down there, they handed me the bill for $1,500. I didn't know how to tip on something like that. That was bigger than my rent in college was $300.
So you would have actually you were screwed no matter what. Like you were going to have to
Titans won.
You were going to have to pay something. So looking back on it, do you wish you just not gone down there and just paid $1,000?
Lorenzo Neal handed me the check.
Oh,
it hurt so
okay.
bad.
Well, that
And then
explains a lot.
I looked like the dad from Goonies about to sign his house away.
You mentioned
you
some,
laughed at that. Good reference.
a minute ago. You talk about your leg. Why you said time's running out in your legacy? Why is this important now to you?
Well, that's why I'm here. I want everybody. You were talking about the Jason Foundation. get comfortable, uncomfortable.
Okay.
That's how you got to be now, And if anybody comes up to me and says, "How you doing?" Whoo, hold on, because you may be talking to me for about the next 6 hours.
Do you tell people how you're feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
I do now. I have to.
Before, you never told people how you're feeling mentally?
Well, you just have to be careful. You got to pick and choose your moments, You don't want people to think that you're wild.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have a conversation.
I have to pick my moments.
Sure.
Today, I was thinking about legacy. I watched myself this morning.
You saw 2 members of Legacy at Raw last night. A little wrestling reference there.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not up on it, but it was cool. It was super exciting. I'm old, but it was fun. So let's talk Titans. Hey, listen, Will Levis, he's my man. I told you we have a quarterback.
Yep.
I would re-sign DeAndre Hopkins. That's my off-season move, along with.
He's got a year left, so hopefully.
Okay, well then bring him back. Burks, come on back. I know he's a warrior, but man, he's just having some bad luck. Let's get an O-line, and we got to find a really good tight end. We're going to draft real well.
What do you think of Skoronski at this point?
I think he needs to have a conversation with me so I can tell him to become a dog. Like, be the leader now.
Yeah.
You're the best player on the O-line.
Right.
You have to be. So just be a dog. Just be a dog. Break people.
Did you when you came in?
I was a weenie.
You had Hopkins, you had Matthews, you had Benji Olsen. I mean, you had some guys that were solid.
I didn't even know. I was blown away by the talent. Looking back just in our conversations, I mean, that team went to the Super Bowl, so no wonder I didn't sniff the field. They were pretty good, right?
They weren't bad.
So.
And then was it the next year you started playing more when John left? Is that right?
Yeah, well, I backed up the 3. Well, I backed up the 3 middle, the 2 guards.
Yeah.
And so K. Long, if anything happened to Kevin Long, then Bruce would go to center, and then I would come in at guard.
That's right.
So I got a little credibility in my second year. Everything slowed down, and that's what has to happen. So I think Will Levis, man, you see how that ball comes off his fingers, and then they actually ran a little play action pass rollout. Oh my gosh, it was so shocking to see. Wonderful. They try to screen. So I think get him off his spot. I know we want to drop back and let him show everybody that he can go, can hit all these perfect pinpoint passes, but I would like to get him moving a little bit because what I don't want to see is him destroyed before the season ends.
The thing
That's
that
what I don't want.
The thing that I've been impressed with him on is, and I know you probably haven't watched like the coach's film or anything, but when I watch the games, I can see him when he has time. He's manipulating the pocket. Like he's expanding the pocket by moving around just a little bit. Brady was so good at that.
I just like how I see him on the sidelines. I like his answers in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking responsibility for everything. He's being a leader. He sounds good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
With all due respect, listen, you as a quarterback, you got to take the brunt of it when you win and when you win, you can't take any credit, and when you lose, you got to take the blame. I mean, that's just kind of the deal because nowadays, but he really does a great job. I'm super fired up for Nashville. And with the AFC South being so intense with quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, you got Anthony Richardson, who I know got hurt, and then who's
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud at the Texans. I mean, look at this. I mean, kind of a smart move by Carthon, right? To trade up to get a quarterback.
Sure.
We would be maybe another year behind.
Yeah.
If we had Willis right now, and we're still licking our wounds with Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah.
Period.
100%.
And the cat from North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Radens. Would you like to talk to Isaiah Wilson?
No, I don't have any time for him. He's like a bad Pac-Man Jones. I have time for Pac-Man Jones. I love Pac-Man.
Why do you have time for Pac-Man and not Isaiah?
I know Pac-Man. I don't Isaiah. Nah, man.
Just to say, look, man, you had this opportunity. What's going on?
I've talked to a couple of humans, and it's not even worth my breath.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And I unfortunately feel like that's where he's at. He's Zach Pillar, Titans legend.
Sometimes it's not worth talking to me.
No, it is.
I mean,
it's
seriously,
always worth
it
talking to
isn't.
you.
Sometimes.
Zach Pillar designed
Thank
69.
you, White Tiger.
Zach Pillar Design 69 on Instagram. We want to get him to 250.
What are we
He's
at?
at 220.
Oh,
Let's get him to 250.
Where's
got
the
a few
guy
more.
with all the people?
We got a few more.
Where's that guy?
Let's get some more.
And I need to learn.
Oh, and he's texted in, Wes from Hermitage. He
Okay.
said, hey, Zach, I'm a little upset. I got you 12 followers last week, and I didn't receive a 44-year-old Slim Jim, which is all I asked for
right
in
here.
return.
Got it.
I just want to feel like
waiting on
Randy
you.
Savage. He goes, I'm joking, but 250 will hit today by 3 o'clock. I'll put money on it. Great show.
Wow.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay,
See,
well,
Zach?
and see, this is what I know I have to do. If you folks here could help me, I know I have to like message people. You know, like let's say I know Chris Johnson, so I would message him, and somehow he would like post it, and then that would make a big deal. Or
Sure.
something.
He can repost you.
You
Yeah.
repost it. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
or are we ever going to allowed to get call-ins? People can call in.
They can do
Sure.
whatever they
You can
want.
call right now, 615-737-1025.
Yeah, I'd like somebody to ask me a question. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay. We can make that happen.
What
Call
about,
in.
What about Jeff Fisher called in?
Oh, Jeff Fisher. You guys are hating on Jeff Fisher, the legend.
No hate.
Slice the tongues out of your mouth.
I wasn't hating on him.
I brought my own bobblehead because you guys keep the bobblehead way over there, and when I try to mess with them, you guys won't let me touch them.
Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
You got it, Chase.
Zach Pillar Design 69 on Instagram. Come back with more with Zach and also celebrity birthdays. We'll do that next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, hanging out with Titans great Zach Pillar here in studio with us. You asked for a call. Here's Wes in Hermitage. He has a question for Zach. Wes, what's up?
Good morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
We're doing fantastic.
Man, Zach, so my first question for you is, what is your long-term goal? And is it just Instagram? Like, what are you trying to hit? I guess let's just call it a short-term goal now and a long-term goal. What are you trying to hit by the end of 2023 on Instagram?
Oh, nice. Well, ultimately, my goal is to utilize the internet to raise money for Rally Foundation. That will start in February. We have 10 weeks, but so I'm kind of just getting a little baby footprint. Also, and I will answer your question. Also, I made a movie in 2005. I made a documentary called QB Needs Job. And that movie has a pulse again 18 years later. So I need a little bit of a, what do you call that? A footprint?
Promotion?
Well, I just need to have something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I figure raise a little money, and then maybe in a year or two, this movie will rear its ugly head, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Wes.
Oh, and how many
Suggest
people do I want
anything,
by
man.
the end of the
The
year?
only
I want 2 million.
The main thing that's going to really, really, really help you get that IG page to take off, as crazy as it sounds, man, is you got to link that to your TikTok and your Facebook.
Oh,
and if
God.
you've got all three trending in the right direction, it's going to blow up on Instagram eventually over time.
I am untrending then. I totally appreciate it. You just work, hey, man, one follower at a time. That's how I grow.
Got you, man. Best of luck to you, Zach.
I appreciate the
Thanks,
phone
Wes.
call and the encouragement. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
That was good.
My first phone call ever on a sponsored show. So,
All right, let's squeeze in one more. Bob wants to weigh in. Bob, what's up?
Hey, fellas. Hey, Zach.
Yes, sir.
Did you retire a Titan?
Bob, where are you calling from?
This old man. I'll tell you,
Hey,
I
this
appreciate
Bob from Clarksville.
Bob in Clarksville.
I appreciate Bob. Now, Bob, listen, my retirement it's a long story. Unfortunately, I got cut by the Titans. Then I went to Detroit, and I brought up the union rules to the head coach there. I can get into depth over that, and got cut by Detroit, and then signed with the Giants, and made it to the opening day roster, and then got released. I don't want to get into the details there either. Then ultimately, I think I went to I did. Ryan Long called me when I was sitting at the Outback on Moores Lane in Cool Springs and said, "Do you want to play in this United Football League?" And so I spent 13 days there. And I blew my...
Wow.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, you have a great accent, and I appreciate you. So
You
we'll
got
just...
cut by the sucky Lions.
The Lions were sucky. But they're good now. You can hang up on this, redneck.
You know who that was, right?
Of course.
Thank you, Bob. Bob, whatever. We got time for quick celebrity birthdays.
Yeah, real quick. I'm 2-0, by the way. Do we want to just do it next week?
We'll do it real quick. We got one. How old's Barry Gordy today? The Motown leader from Detroit. How old is he?
80.
82.
He's 94.
So
Okay.
neither of us won.
No.
That's it.
That's all you got?
I got many more.
That was about.
You have...
How about say leave
Paul
with a
Schaefer.
positive. Leave with a
All right.
positive.
How old's Paul Schaefer?
Oh, from David Letterman.
Yes, sir.
Bruce Matthews.
74?
That's what I said.
He is.
Wow.
Exactly.
Now we end it.
That's a walk-off.
That's 3-0.
That is a walk-off. He
Okay.
is Zach Pillar. He'll be back with us next week. Caroline,
you,
Willie,
everyone.
and D-Mace coming up next from Bridgestone Arena.
We got a final thought here. Got a final thought?
Just be positive, be decent. Understand that my life is probably worse than yours.
And laugh.
We love you guys. Remember, if you need to talk to somebody, 988 on your cell phone. Reach out. Let the world know that we want to let the world know that we love you guys. It's a better place because you are here, including you, Zach Pillar.
Go Titans. Go Titans. Go Preds.